I think the bottom line is people really do not want war. They want peace.
Now at 7 o'clock, local reaction to the U.S. striking Iran over the weekend. Also, local protests. Thomas Schultz is live for us in downtown Portland this morning with all the latest.
Plus, how new legislation would force Oregon to put places like the Mount Hood National Forest and Crater Lake up for sale. And
at this moment, I just think the stakes are really high, and I don't think Oregonians can afford to take the damage that we'll cause if we kick the can down the road.
Oregon's new transportation package is headed for a vote today. What the package aims to do and where you might expect to pay more in taxes. All that coming up here as the Sunrise streaming hour at 7 o'clock starts right now.
good morning, and thank you for joining us on your Monday Live at 7. I'm China Green.
And I'm Drew Carney. It was pretty wet over the weekend, especially Saturday. I mean, things cleared up yesterday, Rob, but man, what a rainy day we experienced 2 days ago.
And the rain was, say it with me, it's
needed.
Needed. I was going to go good news, but needed works too. Yeah. Now we're looking forward to our first reasonably warm summer day. We began with Schnuckwin's Casino Resort in Lincoln City. It's kind of hazy out, and there are some low clouds in spots as well. You can see folks out there enjoying a stroll on the beach early this morning. 48 is the temperature. And there's downtown. We've really seen the low cloudiness kind of increase over the past hour, but this goes forward to being a partly to mostly sunny day. As I mentioned, we're at 55 right now. Your day, 67 degrees at noon. It is mostly sunny in some areas, but the airport now reporting cloudy skies. High today projection, 81 degrees for you. Back to you.
Thank you, Rod. Time now is 7:01. I-84 headed westbound at 67. This is what your seeing is going to look like. There is still a truck pulled over on the right shoulder. This is going on for about 2 hours now. There's now a car behind it directing traffic away from the truck, but keep this in mind if you are headed that way, there will be a slowdown. And here's a look at your traffic times. Main Street to I-405 going to take you about 12 minutes, and then Patton Parkway to I-84 going to take you about 15 there.
According to NBC News, Iran has vowed to respond to the U.S. military strikes on 3 of its nuclear sites over the weekend. That's led the State Department to issue its first worldwide caution in more than a year, telling Americans to exercise increased caution when traveling abroad.
Meanwhile, President Trump says the U.S. will counter any retaliation from Iran with even greater force. NBC's Alice Barr brings us the latest from Washington, D.C.
This morning, amid the fallout over U.S. airstrikes on 3 Iranian nuclear sites, key questions remain, including the extent of the damage.
The strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated.
Pentagon officials say it's too soon to know for sure. B-2 bombers are back home at their Missouri base as we get a first look at the Iranian targets struck, before and after images showing the massive impact on one of the nuclear facilities. And the looming question, how will Iran respond? President Trump promising far greater force if Iran does retaliate. Vice President Vance framing the U.S. strikes as a limited move aimed at pushing Iran toward peace.
We're not at war with Iran, we're at war with Iran's nuclear program.
While President Trump posted, quote, if the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why wouldn't there be a regime change? That's a shift from his administration's messaging so far.
This mission was not and has not been about regime change.
And could add to concerns for many Republicans uneasy with another prolonged U.S. Middle East entanglement. GOP Representative Thomas Massie openly criticizing the president's move.
He promised us which we would put America first.
President Trump vowing to campaign against Massie, who joined many Democrats questioning whether the strikes were constitutional without congressional approval. Now, as anti-war protests break out across the U.S., huge billboards in Israel thanking President Trump. The Department of Homeland Security issued a new warning about heightened security threats inside the U.S. from Iran. That after Iran threatened to activate sleeper cell terror in the U.S. if attacked, according to 2 U.S. officials and a person with knowledge of the threat. The Trump administration promising increased surveillance. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
And there were several local protests against the U.S. strikes on Iran.
Oregon lawmakers, meanwhile, divided with their opinions on the strikes. We have Sunrise reporter Thomas Schultz. You see him right there, live in downtown Portland, covering all of this for us. Thomas?
Hey, good morning, China and Drew. And yeah, those protests stemmed throughout the metro area in Portland, Beaverton, and Hillsborough. Many protesting concerned that these strikes could escalate tensions in the Middle East.
I believe the majority of Americans do not want a war with Iran and want our tax dollars to improve the lives of Americans here.
I think the bottom line is people really do not want war. They want peace.
And Oregon Democratic Senator Jeff Merkley reiterated that, saying that while Iran had 1,000 pounds of enriched uranium, it was not enriched to the degree to build nuclear weapons. Merkley serves on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee and is concerned that this conflict could drag on for quite some time.
Israel had already said that it had done so much damage that it had set back the program in Iran for 2 to 3 years. So there was no urgency to act.
Though across the aisle, President Trump says his decision to bomb the nuclear facilities will lead to the end of conflict or more dire days ahead for Iran.
There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days.
And his idea to bomb these facilities has been backed up by Oregon Republican State House Leader Christine Drazen, who said in a statement, Iran could not be allowed to obtain a nuclear weapon. I'm thankful for our brave servicemen and women whose successful mission protected so many. Now, Iran has vowed to retaliate after these bombings. Now, many on both sides of the aisle, both sides of this issue, will wait and watch to see what happens next. Drew, China.
Thomas Schultz live for us this morning there in downtown Portland. Let's get back to Washington, D.C. now, where some senators are pushing back on part of President Trump's big, beautiful bill, saying it could put federal public lands at risk. This bill calls for the sale of up to 3 million acres across 11 different states, including Oregon and Washington, to build housing. Now, initially, it was thought this could impact places like Crater Lake and the Mount Hood National Forest, but some Republicans are indicating that they would only support, quote, isolated parcels. The big, beautiful bill also says that state governors and local tribes would be consulted on land decisions. Still, critics of the bill remain skeptical.
And once sold, these lands could become luxury resorts, private developments, or something else entirely. These are our public lands, so selling them off for private profit is antithetical to our values. I mean, they are economic drivers for communities that are popular.
Some conservatives have long advocated for returning some federally controlled land to local control. Both of Oregon senators oppose the big, beautiful bill. They claim it would only help the extremely wealthy when it comes to housing. Meanwhile, Governor Kotek declared a state of emergency in response to the Rowena fire burning in the gorge. Also over the weekend, Senator Wyden toured some of the areas destroyed by the fire. We know it's 99% contained at this point, but has already burned about 3,700 acres, and the cause is still under investigation. On Friday, the governor's office said early assessments of the fire showed major damage to homes and businesses. Declaring a state of emergency allows the Oregon Fire Marshal to use more resources to assist local crews in Wasco County.
Your time now is 7:08, and starting today, there's a burn ban in place for parts of Washington, Multnomah, Clackamas, and Yamhill counties because of high temperatures and expected dry conditions. The specifics vary by county, but the bans generally mean no recreational campfires, fire pits, burning yard debris, and agriculture burning. You can still use barbecues, smokers, or similar outdoor cooking appliances. If you are using charcoal to cook, make sure the ashes are properly disposed of in a metal container, and make sure cigarettes, cigars, and other smoking objects are put out before you throw them away. The burn ban will remain in effect throughout the summer weather season. Headed over to Rod Hill. Rod, you said this is kind of like a blanket statement that comes out every year, but this doesn't necessarily mean or take the weather into effect.
I mean, it's not issued because of an impending forecast right now. You know, that these things go up in the summer season. As if you lived here for a while, you know our summers are typically drier. Our wettest summer still doesn't get much moisture. And of course, with this trend of expecting 90-degree or hotter weather 20 times or more each summer, which is now what we anticipate, better to be safe than sorry. The forecasts have been calling, and still are though, for July and August to ramp up the 90-degree heat. It does appear we're going to end June with just 2 90-degree temperatures, and that was the 2 we had week before last when we went back to back. Okay, here's the Oregon Veterans Home camera out in the Dalles. Everybody's a little hazy this morning for the most part, 54 degrees. Notice the light wind. Part of the forecast today statewide is light winds. Many areas not getting a breath of wind. This is one of the sunnier blue skies. That's over Three Sisters. A beautiful shot early this morning. So you folks in Central Oregon are all set for a nice day. Your temperatures will be up to about 80 today. That's a view from Aspen Lakes Golf Course looking at the mountains. Here's the Pioneer Park building. And again, about an hour ago, we started to get a lot of low clouds over the city. They will not stay. This will go on to be a partly to mostly sunny day. We're at 55 degrees right now. Certainly comfortable outside. Temperatures are now warming that we're in the 7 o'clock hour. 52 in Gresham, 52 in Tigard. And let's see here. Salem's now up to 55 degrees. Almsville, good morning. 50 is your current number. And here's the dry forecast map with light winds. Mix of 70s and 80s inland. Nobody gets much of any breeze, including the coast. Your highs today should be up into the 60s. And our 7-day, pretty nice first week of summer, if you will. 81, 82. Clouds increase tomorrow. And then we have a lot of cloudiness. Maybe we get locked under low clouds much of the day on Wednesday into Thursday. If so, we would struggle to hit 70, and there may or may not be some light moisture amounts falling out of those low clouds. After that, it appears this upcoming weekend goes back to sunny 80-degree weather, and that is your 7-day forecast.
All right, Rodney, before we go anywhere else, a quick look at traffic on this Monday morning. Traffic map shows some red there along I-84. Not surprising at this time of the morning. 7 o'clock hour, things definitely picking up. We can also show you this, a disabled vehicle. This is what's causing some of those problems on I-84. Actually, it looks like it may have been cleared out now. I'm not seeing the disabled vehicle that we saw earlier this morning in that spot. This is I-84 headed west at 67th.
Your time now is 7:12, and today a huge transportation package is headed for a vote on the Oregon House floor. The transportation package would provide an estimated $14.5 billion in new revenue for transportation repairs, maintenance, and expansion projects in Oregon over the next 10 years. In turn, taxpayers, though, have to pay more in tax and fees for things like gas, new and used cars, vehicle registration, and electric vehicle road use.
For decades, Oregon has been disinvesting in our roads, and we can see it in the comparison with what other states have been paying. Washington is $1,068, California is $1,120.
The transportation package nearly didn't make it out of the committee, with Democratic Senator Mark Meek saying he would not support the current version of the bill. But a few days later, Meek was taken off the committee and replaced by Senate President Rob Wagner.
I was removed from this committee because of my opposition to this bill.
Being able to go back forward and tell our cities and our counties who are struggling so much right now to know that they're going to be able to keep their basic infrastructure up and also make progress in some of these other areas.
Republican lawmakers weighed in, calling the bill the largest tax hike in state history.
The National Transportation Safety Board will hear from investigators about the door plug blowout on a Boeing-made plane over Portland last year. They're going to hear from them tomorrow. Now, the Alaska Airlines flight we know was headed to California back on January 5th, 2024, when that door plug blew out shortly after the plane took off from Portland. No one was seriously hurt, but during tomorrow's hearing, the NTSB will also vote on the probable cause. Of course, the big picture here, they never want to see this kind of incident happen again. So tomorrow's meeting is scheduled to start at 6:30 in the morning, our time.
Still to come on Sunrise, a look at Juneteenth celebrations in downtown Portland and a few other celebrations that happened over the weekend when Sunrise streaming live at 7 continues. We'll be right back in 2 minutes.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
KGW's Evening News. Important stories to help you stay informed and keep your family safe.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Christine Pitawanich.
And I'm David Molko.
Weather impact alerts to help you plan your week.
We need to be extra careful with anything that can throw a spark.
And a team of local journalists connected to our community. David Molko, Christine Pitawanich, and Matt Zaffino. Your Evening News team, tonight on KGW.
Local Juneteenth celebrations continued over the weekend, including the 53rd annual Juneteenth parade.
KGW's Celine Stevens was at that parade and spoke to people about the holiday's history.
I think any opportunity when you see so many black people in one space, it is powerful.
There's history here. This is American history, Juneteenth.
Despite a rainy Saturday afternoon, the streets of Northeast Portland were full of people celebrating Juneteenth.
Portland is a place where, again, it's not that many black people, so when you see a lot of us come out, a lot of people that's been in this community for 40, 50 years, it's always an honor to see those people.
The 53rd annual Juneteenth Oregon event started with a parade and ended with a festival at Lillis Albina Park.
We have over 100 local vendors and corporations that have shown up to take part in our Juneteenth Oregon celebration. It's going to be a big celebration.
And while everyone was celebrating America's newest federal holiday, some also reflected on the history of the day that signified the end of slavery in the United States.
Former President Lincoln, back in those days, had to send troops down to Galveston to let the leadership, if you will, in Galveston say that blacks were free. They were free. They were no longer slaves, for that matter.
So we're here to bring about leadership and ensure people understand that it can be a fun time at the same time that we're generating energy and showing people that we're still here.
The parade in honor of Clara Peoples, who is credited with being the founder of Juneteenth Oregon.
And Clara Peoples was the black woman who first brought the tradition of celebrating Juneteenth to Oregon.
The event still going on in full force, but with some changes behind the scenes this year.
We have lost some sponsors due to DEI mandates coming out of the White House. So we are really looking for people to donate. We're operating on a much lower budget, but we're still making it happen.
Overall, the annual event rang in another successful year of celebration and community.
I'm just so thankful that Portland showed up, rain or shine. This is important, this is history, and it's beautiful to be representing not only Juneteenth, but like Black culture today.
Celine Stevens, KGW News.
And in Southern Oregon, a group of local indigenous youth are among the first to paddle the restored Klamath River in over 100 years. They're celebrating the dam removals and the river getting back to its free-flowing state. The crew had been training for the whitewater excursion for the entire semester.
Really working with the programs that we do to try to create community building, bring people together over a shared interest of love and joy for being on their rivers. And this idea formed to create a program called Paddle Tribal Waters, where we could empower youth and equip youth to be able to make the first descent of the Klamath River.
The 300-mile journey down the Klamath is slated to take about a month.
All right, Rodney Hill, back into the frame here. What do we got weather-wise on this Monday morning?
Have we had warm summer weather yet, since it's been summer, I mean?
No.
Oh, you guys got that one right.
48 hours into the season.
Yeah.
No, fam.
Well, today we're going to get up to 80, so this will be the first, hey, it's summer kind of day since the calendar changed. If you are just joining us here in the 7 o'clock hour, good morning to you. 1.74 inches is the two-day total from the heavy showers, thunderstorms, hail that we had on Friday and the hours of steady rain that we had on Saturday. And what's interesting is that two-day deluge, we'll call it, right? More than what the entire month of June on average produces at 1.63. So June will now go into the books as above normal. And of course, this is terrific news because we're getting ready to enter our dry season. So having the springboard of some good wetting across our state, terrific news. All the fire news, by the way, this morning is good news as well. I'm saying the word news a lot. Saturday high was 57. That becomes, for the 21st day of June, the coldest high temperature in the record books, thanks to the hours of steady rain that never allowed the temperature to pop up. Here's what we have going on today. We're really quiet out there. We have a mixed bag of some cloudiness this morning, but this will be a partly to mostly sunny day. Cloudiness kind of trying to move toward the coast right now, but no moisture with any of that. And again, we will stay dry with light winds all areas on this Monday. Here's Timberline. We've got it zoomed in a little bit. You can see the Palmer Snowfield right there. And then down low, those scattered areas of white remnants of snow that did fall at 6,000 feet and stick. They didn't get, I thought they might stack it up. That never really happened, but they did have a couple days of sticking light snow at times up at Timberline. Temperatures around freezing up there both Friday and Saturday. All right, Chehalem tasting room camera for you. This is one of our sunnier cameras right now. The vineyard really pretty with the morning sun. 52 degrees is the number. 53 up in Kelso. Salem and Portland each have 55. Pendleton, good morning, joining that 55 crowd. And here's Futurecast. It's not going to show much. Kind of partly to mostly sunny skies today. Here's a potential marine push of cloudiness at the beach tomorrow morning and maybe up into Kelso Longview. Otherwise, sunshine to increasing clouds tomorrow. And then look at this. This goes into Wednesday morning. Pretty solid push of marine cloudiness. Here's the reason for the cooler weather Wednesday and Thursday. And either day could have just a touch of some light wetting or moisture fall out of that. May or may not happen. Weather models think that the marine clouds will be thick enough that we could get some light moisture. Again, that's Wednesday/Thursday. Back to today, though. Salem 82, partly to mostly sunny skies, light winds, similar numbers reaching 80 up in Cowlitz County in southwest Washington. I have Portland going 81, 82, and then the cooler weather. Now, if we have thick clouds Wednesday that are stubborn to get out of here, we probably don't hit 70, so definitely a cool down for a couple days midweek. But then we go sunny and warmer again into the weekend. Right now I've got 82 and 86 on Saturday and Sunday. I think it's traffic time.
Oh, it is, Rod. And we have some traffic for you on this Monday morning. Not surprising at 7:22 in the morning, right? This is I-84 over at Halsey. You want to be at the you want to be in those lanes on the right side of your screen. They're flying through right now. A little slow though on the other side of the equation. We'll keep an eye on this, of course. A busy route this time of day. Also, a bigger picture look at the traffic map. More red and orange than you want to see at this time in the morning, especially over there by Maywood Park on I-84. Again, more traffic coming your way as we move through the 7 o'clock hour of sunrise.
We have a travel warning issued for Americans traveling overseas. What you need to know coming up in our national headlines in just 2 minutes.
KGW's Evening News. Important stories to help you stay informed and keep your family safe.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Christine Pitawanich.
And I'm David Molko.
Weather impact alerts to help you plan your week.
We need to be extra careful with anything that can throw a spark.
And a team of local journalists connected to our community. David Molko, Christine Pitawanich, and Matt Zaffino. Your Evening News team, tonight on KGW.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news, live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
Here's a look at some of this morning's national and world headlines with your morning rush. Violence and mayhem in Oklahoma City late last night after the Thunder beat the Pacers to win the NBA championship. Here's a look at some of the video from Oklahoma City. Police there are investigating a shooting they say happened near the Thunder's arena and left one person with non-life-threatening injuries. They also say they detained one person. Meanwhile, the State Department has issued a travel warning for Americans going overseas, urging everyone to use worldwide caution for any travel. On their website, a statement reads, quote, "The conflict between Israel and Iran has resulted in disruptions to travel and periodic closure of airspace across the Middle East." And goes on to say, quote, "The Department of State advises U.S. citizens worldwide to exercise increased caution." The last worldwide caution was issued in May of last year. A fuel tanker overturned on Interstate 270 in Columbus, Ohio yesterday, creating a massive fire. You see the black smoke from that fire right there. Authorities say the tanker was carrying more than 8,000 gallons of fuel when it overturned. The driver is stable at a hospital. The cause of the crash remains under investigation. And that's a look at your morning rush.
You have a kid in the car.
Coming up in our next half hour, we're hearing from a protester rammed by a driver, what he says led up to the incident. Plus,
I truly hope that the legacy of the girls' lives lives in everyone's heart forever.
the Decker girls laid to rest. Also, the new details coming to light that many say could have prevented their death if taken seriously. Sunrise streaming live at 7 o'clock. We'll continue right after this.
KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus.
We have now issued a weather impact alert.
We could expect conditions in some parts of our area to change drastically pretty soon, right?
And very quickly, yes.
This is significant rainfall coming our way.
You'll definitely want to be extra cautious.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
We've got the potential for some tree limbs or even trees or power lines to come down.
Of course, when you hear thunder, it's always best to take cover.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Rod Hill. This will become the first, it's kind of summer-like summer day after the rains that we had over the weekend. We have a varying mix of some haziness and some low cloudiness, but generally this will be a partly to mostly sunny day statewide. Everybody's going to be dry, everybody's going to have light winds. There's our state capitol behind me, 55 degrees. Good morning to you in Salem. There are some of those low clouds I mentioned currently over downtown Portland. We are at 55. Here are the temperatures expected this afternoon, and this shows right about 80 up and down I-5, 60s at the coast, 82 in Madras, and then we'll see temperatures mostly in the 70s out in eastern Oregon today. It looks like a day that Portland sees 67 degrees at noon and then 81 at 5 p.m. Here's that 7-day. 82 tomorrow. Cloudiness increases, and then just like that, we get back into some morning cloudiness, thick marine clouds that could produce some traceable amounts of light moisture. That's Wednesday and Thursday, a couple days that may or may not make it to 70. After that, though, sunshine and warming weather. Right now, the upcoming weekend, 82 on Saturday. It could be as warm as 86 degrees on Sunday.
Good morning. We are taking a live look over the city from our sky cam. I thought, I swear you said something about summer weather and it's gonna be great. It's gonna be 80. That doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like it at all. That looks like November 3rd. It's gonna be a high of 45.
So you're questioning my forecast at this point.
Quite frankly, yeah.
Well, if it looks like that at 11 o'clock this morning, I'll be questioning it as well.
Rod says, don't trust the clouds, trust his forecast.
Okay, yes, sir.
If you look at the big picture overall, all the observations cameras we have, generally, despite that view, it is kind of partly to mostly sunny statewide. Here's a look at, hold on. I feel like I'm being accused of being a liar this morning. Here's our Schnuckwitz Casino Resort camera. That is blue up top, but really it's hazy out there. 50 degrees is the temperature. Here's the Rose City camera. Now the low clouds kissing the West Hills, 55. And our day moving forward, partly cloudy at noon, 67, and then kind of partly cloudy to mostly sunny times this afternoon, and we'll get up to 81 degrees. Despite the conversation, despite the live cameras, confidence is high that we will make it to 80 today. Back to you.
You said the clouds were kissing the West Hills. I think they were smacking the West Hills, Rod. Funny descriptions this morning. How about this? Little quick traffic report for you at 7:30 in the morning. Live look at Highway 26. This is the inbound traffic there towards the bottom of your screen, heading in towards the tunnel into downtown. Not too bad. I mean, slowing down for sure, but not too bad at this time of the morning. Also, traffic time. Sorry, we'll get back to traffic times a little bit later.
So we're sharing video this morning that shows a vehicle that apparently drove into protesters outside Portland's ICE facility.
The man who was hit is okay, but we do want to warn you, the video here might be jarring to some viewers. KGW's Catherine Cook spoke to the person who recorded it.
Our focus is strictly on letting ICE know that they're not welcome in our city.
For several days, Nick has joined protesters outside Portland's ICE facility amid growing hostility.
Every other day, somebody's showing up with a gun. Somebody's trying to drive through the crowd.
Then Wednesday night, this happened. Nick took the video.
I was in shock, to be honest.
He says the car backed into him hard.
If I hadn't been in body armor, it would have crushed ribs and stuff.
For safety reasons, Nick asked us not to show his face or use his last name. He says the incident started when the driver of the car confronted protesters for blocking the way to his home.
He lives there, so it was like, my bad. I get that this is probably frustrating. And so we let him go, to his apartment.
About 5 minutes later, Nick says the guy returned in his car.
And then he came up to us and told us that we weren't letting him leave despite nobody standing in front of him or anything. And then when we shouted that he had a kid in the car, that is what triggered his frustration.
Nick says he plans to file a police report. He doesn't want anyone to harm the driver.
Retribution in that way is not going to help anything, and I just want people to avoid him, really.
He also wants people to see the bigger picture in all of this from his perspective.
We're being called terrorists by the Department of Homeland Security, and we're being dehumanized in a way that makes it okay for people to come do what that guy did. We need people to know that we're just people who care about our community.
Catherine Cook, KGW News.
We're also hearing from a woman who lives in the apartment building next to the South Portland ICE facility. Her name is Mindon Okan. She says last Wednesday night, pepper balls hit her balcony. She also told us that residue from tear gas and smoke have coated that balcony. She says all of this makes her worry for her 3-year-old daughter.
I'm at home. Why are you shooting at me at my home? What if my baby was on the balcony? She can't even do that because there's so much smoke residue that if she runs out there barefoot, her feet is black by the time she gets in here.
Portland police say they didn't use tear gas or pepper balls. Indications are they were fired by federal agents. Police say they arrested a man for murder after finding another man dead inside a home in the Woodlawn neighborhood of Northeast Portland. 37-year-old Devontae Gibson is accused of killing the man in this home on Northeast Claremont Avenue shortly before 4 a.m. early yesterday morning. No word yet on a motive or if these two men knew each other.
Portland police are looking for the person or people who killed a man in the Foster Powell neighborhood. This happened just after midnight Saturday on Southeast Foster Road. Officers found an adult man stabbed to death in the parking lot. The suspect or suspects ran away from the scene.
The Polk County Sheriff's Office is asking for help to find this man, 75-year-old Stephen Wright. He was last seen on Friday and last known to be in the wooded area west of Dallas. The Sheriff's Office says he has some mild cognitive and medical issues. He's 6 feet tall, about 140 pounds, with white hair, and may be driving that vehicle on your screen. It's a white 1999 Toyota 4Runner with license plate 946 DFC. If you see Wright or that car, call 911.
As summer continues and hiking season ramps up, Multnomah County Search and Rescue is reminding hikers to be prepared when they head out. That means having the 10 essentials. Those include a flashlight, extra clothing, food and water, a map or compass, and a way to communicate without your phone, like a radio. They also suggest having a first aid kit, pocket knife, fire making kit, an emergency shelter, signaling device, and some protection.
Creating these public service announcements, having these sort of details come out, and promoting awareness of the dangers in the gorge and getting people to be more prepared when they go out really saves us a lot of time on the back end.
Before you head out, make sure someone knows where you're going and when you plan to be back.
All right, 'tis the season for seal pups. Beachgoers in western Washington, in Des Moines, west of Seattle and Tacoma, have been seeing and expecting mama seal. She's been resting out of the water, and several people stopped by the beach to take photos and videos of her. Now, volunteers with the Marine Mammal Stranding Team are also on site there to make sure that people keep a safe distance. Harbor seals and other marine mammals are federally protected. That means you have to stay at least 100 yards away.
Stay away from them and notify somebody so they can get people out here. And we'll get people out to take care of it and rope it off and keep an eye on them.
So again, the big message here, if you see a harbor seal pup or a mama seal on a beach or on a dock, do not touch them. Rod Hill, does that rule also apply to you?
I think so. You said 100. I didn't realize it was so far, actually. 100 yards away.
100 yards,
That's
yeah,
pretty good
100 yards away.
distance. Yeah.
People can get a little bit closer to you, but I know they're still not allowed to touch you if they see you in public.
They're allowed to do this whenever they want. Just kind of flip my nose a little bit. You know, that's fine. Yeah.
All right.
I don't like
Keep
my
that in
ears
mind.
touched, by the way. All right, here's a look at the visible satellite picture, because all of a sudden we have this weak push of low marine clouds that have come in, and it's now light enough in the 7:30 half hour that you can see there's a trail of low clouds. And basically the way this works is it's come up what we call the Columbia River Gap. These clouds have worked inland off the Pacific just along the Columbia River into Portland. That tells you that the clouds are really shallow because they're not high enough to spill over any of the hilly or mountainous terrain, if you will. So typically when this happens, they clear out pretty quickly as we march through the mid-morning hours. And I present this to you. Good morning, Willamette Valley. This is Willamette Valley Vineyards, just south of Salem in the Turner area off of I-5, so in the heart of the valley. And it's pretty much just a beautiful blue sky morning. So it depends on where you're at this morning. Temperature is 54 in Tiger, 55 up in Gresham. Wilsonville is 55, Salem is at 55, and Albany is at 55. Good morning to you. Gunther is our KGW Dog of the Day. Great shot there. Use this email, dogoftheday@kgw.com. Send us your dog's photo and their name, and your dog will become our Dog of the Day this morning. It is Gunther. All right, forecast map is all dry. Everybody gets light winds, and after we lose that little push of marine clouds that have come inland up the Columbia, we'll be partly to mostly sunny this afternoon. The show's about 80 up and down I-5, including Salem and Albany. Madras about the same, 81, 70s out east. Here's our 7-day. A couple of warm summer days today and tomorrow. Cloudiness increases the back half of tomorrow. And then we have thick marine clouds that might produce a touch of some light moisture in the air on Wednesday and Thursday, and highs that could struggle to get up to 70. After that, though, it's back to summer, if you will. 82 on Saturday, 86 is the way Sunday looks like for this upcoming weekend, and that's your forecast.
Thank you, Rod. Let's take a look at your drive times at 7:39 on your Monday here. Highway 26 is going to take you about 21 minutes from Brookwood Parkway to I-405. I-84 there, Troutdale to I-5, having some problems. 37 minutes is the commute on that. And then I-5, Wilsonville Road to Markham Bridge, that is going to take you about 20 minutes.
I truly hope that the legacy of the girls' lives lives in everyone's heart forever.
That is the mother of Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia Decker at a memorial for her daughters in Wenatchee on Friday. The 3 young girls were found dead after their father did not bring them home from a visit.
Alex McClune with our sister station in Seattle shows us how the community is mourning and trying to heal from this tragedy.
It's tough to get an answer out of Wenatchee when you ask about the Decker girls. The attention is too much for their mother, her friends, and even strangers.
Sorry, this is really emotional.
It cut through the heart of the valley. It touched the world beyond Mission Street.
Well, I was in Spain, and people there knew.
And the police department.
This is obviously a massive tragedy in a community.
2 weeks after the deaths of Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia, this place and their family say they're ready to turn the page. Healing is the hardest part.
Tough day, huh?
The mayor has done most of the talking so far.
I will have nothing harder than this throughout my tenure. And I got an email from one of the relatives that says, "Thank you for talking about this. We don't know what we should say. We don't know how to go about it. You're expressing what we're all feeling."
That's what all of Wenatchee is doing.
Apple Blossom Floral is doing some things for the service. Loves Me Flowers and Cashmere is also helping out.
Police showed their support after it started with an Amber Alert.
One of our neighboring agency detectives asked on Monday, just this Monday, if we could do something for that.
The girls left their mark, purple, pink, and green, their favorite colors. Police wear it on their chest, and parents tied them around the trees.
I wish that I could give her a hug from another mother.
Sometimes silence is stronger than words.
The service overlaps into our night shift tonight, and then so tomorrow morning when day shift comes back in on Saturday, they'll be back on.
A new chapter starts with a memorial service in the mountains with their teachers. 9-year-old Peyton asked deep questions. 8-year-old Evelyn was the star on the stage. 5-year-old Olivia found her place in the family, her grandfather says, thanks to their mom, who found the strength to take the stage in front of thousands.
Thank you everyone for being here tonight and the outpouring of love that you have shown me and my family over the past few weeks. I truly hope that the legacy of the girls' lives lives in everyone's heart forever. They were incredible.
This community carries their memories with their colors after the darkest time in Wenatchee.
Meanwhile, the father charged in their killings remains on the run, and new details are coming to light that have Washington lawmakers calling for a change to state laws around Amber Alerts and mental health services. A custody attorney for the girl's mother says Travis Decker, a former Army Ranger, actively looked for help before the incident, but he wasn't able to find any help. The Central Washington Veterans Counseling LLC said due to funding shortages, if Travis had sought treatment, they would have had to refer him to another facility or place him on a wait list. Washington State Patrol, meanwhile, says the reason an Amber Alert wasn't issued is because 2 of the 5 criteria to send out an alert weren't met, those 2 being abduction and immediate danger.
Did not see him as an immediate physical danger to his children, despite the fact that he had a well-established history of mental health issues. And had they had seen it that way, those children might still be alive.
Decker has been on the run for 3 weeks at this point. Authorities continue to comb the mountains of Chelan and Kittitas counties, where they believe he is hiding.
Still to come on Sunrise, undeniable talent that wasn't always recognized. A look at a museum making sure Black history in baseball isn't forgotten. Sunrise streaming live at 7 continues in just 2 minutes.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
KGW's 6 o'clock news. Important stories to help you stay informed and keep your family safe.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Christine Pitawanich.
And I'm David Molko.
Weather impact alerts to help you plan your week.
We need to be extra careful with anything that can throw a spark.
And a team of local journalists connected to our community. David Molko, Christine Pitawanich, and Matt Zaffino. Your evening news team. Watch weeknights at 6 on KGW.
Black players being banned from Major League Baseball until the late 1940s is well documented. But the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum has helped keep players' legacies alive and has also helped Major League Baseball with its decision to integrate their stats into its own historical records. Our news partners at NBC have more on this story for us.
These pictures and artifacts represent just some of baseball's black history.
Black people have always played baseball, but their game has not always been recognized, right?
And I think that was the thing. No one gave it any credence. It had happened, and when you look at the Negro Leagues, it happened before huge audiences.
Today, those firsthand accounts are preserved in Kansas City, Missouri at the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum.
Baseball is king.
But it's a legacy that was almost excluded from the major leagues entirely. There was once a time when African American players were barred from integrating into the major leagues for years. So in 1920, the Negro National League was formed.
They didn't care what color you were. They didn't care what gender you were. Can you play?
Greats like Jackie Robinson, Willie Mays, and Hank Aaron passed through the ranks, and even though their talent on the field was undeniable, it was not always recognized, even after Major League Baseball was integrated in 1947.
Jackie Robinson.
In 2020, on the 100th anniversary of the Negro League's founding, the MLB announced its plan to incorporate the Negro League statistics in the MLB's leaderboard, following work by researchers and historians like Phil Dixon.
You've at this point written at least 9 books chronicling baseball's black history. Why?
Because it's an important part of American history.
Dixon interviewed players and their families, all with the hopes of preserving the sport's diverse history.
When you tell the story, it enlightens people and it frees people.
The addition of the Negro League statistics also meant changes to some major rankings. Doug Glanville played 9 major league seasons with the Cubs, Phillies, and Rangers. To him, this is more than the numbers.
The step is significant in not only righting a wrong, but also creating the conversations and discussions around why this is important to fuse these histories.
But he says there is still work to be done.
And certainly I had my own personal experiences as a black player of feeling the inequality. You know, we're trying to level the playing field for everyone in society, and this is to everyone's benefit.
This season marks a year since that change.
Yes.
What has it done?
Well, for baseball fans, it's given them something to talk about. The stats should become a portal for greater understanding.
Each new season marking a chance to create a more inclusive home run.
This season marks 78 seasons since Jackie Robinson broke through the color barrier in Major League Baseball. Also worth noting, the Philadelphia Phillies will probably win this year's World Series. Now, we don't have time to debate this, Rod, but we'll just go with that for the time being. Sound good?
Yeah, whatever. All right. In terms of the Phillies, here's a look at our visible satellite picture. So I did not expect this. A delayed weak push of low marine clouds. Again, here it is on the visible satellite picture. Cloudiness just pushing right along the Columbia River and up into Portland. If you're away from the Columbia River or south of Portland, you basically are waking up to sunny skies. That cloud depth not big enough to spill over any cloudiness, so it literally is just funneling where the river is, the Columbia, and then it spills down the Willamette Valley Gap into downtown. So it's one of those mornings that if you're watching us out in Washington County here in the 7 o'clock hour, good morning to you, you're waking up to sunny skies. Look at that. Beautiful. Wow, what a great day. 55 degrees is the number. Here's downtown Portland. You come through the Vista Ridge Tunnel, low clouds. We see this sometimes. But it does tell you that the low cloud depth is shallow, and it shouldn't take much more than the next couple of hours for the sun to get it out of here. And then we'll go on to have a nice warm summer afternoon. We are completely dry, and we have light winds. 53 up in Kelso. Good morning to you. The Dow's 54. It's sunny out east. Baker City 42 and Burns now 44. Both of you were in the 30s earlier this morning. Here's Futurecast. Doesn't show much. Just basically shows kind of a partly to mostly sunny day today. Partly cloudy skies over at the coast. It does pick up a weak marine push of cloudiness along the beach and maybe up through Kelso, Longview and back into Portland early tomorrow morning. Otherwise, tomorrow we'll see some increasing cloudiness in the afternoon, but I think overall we'll still be pretty warm. And then here's the next change. After temperatures go up, Wednesday and Thursday they go back down because of a solid push of widespread low cloudiness that might be tough to get out of Wednesday and could produce a little bit of light moisture in the air as well. And that's really the only thing I'm watching as a forecaster this week. Pretty quiet weather out over the next 7 days. So for today, we have some clouds up in Astoria, but a lot of the coast is kind of partly sunny or hazy right now. Temperatures will hold in the 60s. Winds will be light. We saw the sunny skies a moment ago down around Salem. It's 82, your expected high, and mostly sunny to partly cloudy day with light winds. And we now know we have the low clouds that have come into southwest Washington and into downtown Portland. We think those clouds will be breaking up in the 10 o'clock hour, if not before, and then a partly cloudy afternoon with light winds. 7-day forecast, 81, 82, and then the cloudy, cooler weather and maybe a touch of some light moisture Wednesday and Thursday. After that, I've got Friday increasingly warming, and then I've got back to 82 on Saturday, and right now Sunday of this upcoming weekend shows a high of 86 degrees. And that is your forecast.
Thank you, Rod. Your time now is 7:51. Taking a look now at I-5 southbound, heading towards Morrison Bridge. Bit of a slowdown headed that way, so pencil in some extra times for your morning commute.
All right, favorite story of the morning right here, involving that young man from Rex Putnam High School in Milwaukee who's now heading to college later this year, and he's doing so on a cornhole scholarship. His story in just a minute.
KGW's Evening News. Important stories to help you stay informed and keep your family safe.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Christine Pitawanich.
And I'm David Molko.
Weather impact alerts to help you plan your week.
We need to be extra careful with anything that can throw a spark.
And a team of local journalists connected to our community. David Molko, Christine Pitawanich, and Matt Zaffino. Your Evening News team, tonight on KGW.
We have now issued a weather impact alert.
We could expect conditions in some parts of our area to change drastically pretty soon, right?
And very quickly, yeah.
This is significant rainfall coming our way.
You'll definitely want to be extra cautious.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
We've got the potential for some tree limbs or even trees or power lines to come down.
Of course, when you hear thunder, it's always best to take cover.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on KGW+.
Our next story this morning isn't about basketball, baseball, football, really any game that comes to mind when you think about professional or college sports.
No, it's not about gymnastics. It's not about fencing. It's not about badminton.
No.
None of those things.
No.
Sunrise reporter Thomas Schultz introduces us to a recent graduate from Rex Putnam High School in Milwaukee who's heading to college this fall on a cornhole, I'll say it again, on a cornhole scholarship.
To some, cornhole means barbecue and beers. But to one high schooler, it's a future.
I just put my thumb like this over it. And then...
Hayden Gonzalez is probably the best cornholer you'll find. He's a 4-time state champ and ranked 4th nationally.
Pretty cool.
And not big on gloating.
Yeah.
He's too busy honing his craft. Every 2 weeks, he's flying across the country to toss bags into holes.
We go from Myrtle Beach all the way to Ventura, California. He gets creative with cutting around or rolling over.
Michael Gonzalez is Hayden's dad. He's watched his son's game evolve over the years.
Basically, the board's wide open for him all the time.
And he's not the only one who noticed. Colleges saw Gonzalez's talent too, including Winthrop University, which is to cornhole what Alabama is to college football.
Winthrop's just the best. If you're going to go somewhere to play cornhole, that's where you want to go.
It's exactly where Hayden is going. In late July, he'll pack his bags and head to South Carolina on a cornhole scholarship.
Winthrop University, they won the national championship last year.
And while college kids' focus can wane, Hayden has one thing on his mind.
Play more cornhole.
In Clackamas County, Thomas Schultz, KGW News.
And KGW News at Sunrise continues live next hour here on KGW+. So coming up at 8, reaction to the U.S. decision to strike Iranian nuclear sites.
And we're also going to tell you about a paddling adventure along the restored Klamath River that's more than 100 years in the making. All that coming up in our next hour right here on KGW+. We'll close out this half hour with a live look from the beach. Yeah, Rod talking about a little change to his forecast, at least for the morning hours. Cloudy out there in a lot of spots. More from Rodney, more traffic, and again, more news headlines coming your way at 8 o'clock. That's 3 minutes from right now.